Yo, what's up guys, it's Talon. Today we're going to be talking over a Jace game. So I'm starting to play some Jace and some Syndra, adding a couple champs to my champion pool, because now with summer break, I'm going to be playing a lot more Wild Rift, and I would get a bit bored only ever playing 3 champions. Another quick note, my coaching's now $25 an hour instead of $15 an hour. The reason is because I'm greedy and I want more money. But for real, I just kind of prefer having it be a little more, so I maybe get a little less coaching, like people asking for a little less coaching, so that it doesn't take up as much of my time, so I can stream more. But I still really do like coaching, so it's not like I don't think $25 is anything crazy. So I decided I'd move it up to $25. I'm going to mention that the next couple videos just so people are aware of the change. And it's the link in the description, info on that, everything. But anyways, getting into the game. So talking kind of initially just about the strengths of Jace and the times you might pick Jace instead of some of the other champs that you see me play a lot. He's much better into squishy champions. Obviously, he's an AD champion, so you want to pick him when you have other AP on your team. For example, here I have a Teemo ADC, because Teemo ADC is just OP, obviously. So because we have some AP already, we're kind of fine with playing Jace. And then he's also a really good lane bully, so anytime you kind of have a matchup that you want to be able to kind of just win a bit harder, you might want to go for Jace. This game is a game that's pretty hard, and I'm going to be looking pretty hard at this game in terms of my positioning in the later fights, because there are a lot of kind of itemization errors, I think, potentially, and also positioning errors that I think could have been a really big benefit for me and made this game a lot easier, whereas it was a very difficult game overall. So early on in the lane, you saw we kind of just used the fact that we're a really strong early game champion to poke, to get pretty aggressive, build up a slow push, and then we crashed the wave. Now, because I lost the trade harder to Echo, I had to crash the wave a wave early, which meant I did not have 900 extra gold to buy Boots of Dynamism. So because of that, I bought a serrated Dirk instead, so that I still get some amount of, or some power spike. And then you can see here, Echo is only now just recalling, which means I get control over this wave. And because I have control over this wave, I'm level 5, and I got a serrated Dirk. I'm relatively strong if I look for any rotation. And so I'm going to push the wave really quick, use the fact that the Echo is going to have to react to the mid wave to then have a rotation angle. Now in this case, you're going to see I don't actually get any value from it. All I do is ward. But this is what I'm looking for, right? Is that sort of angle where I crash a wave quicker than the enemy gets to be on my wave, so they're stuck clearing a wave, and then I get a rotation. In that case, you saw I just got a little bit of poke onto the Lux. Nothing crazy, but we still get good poke on Echo after as well as he chases us. So you can see my champion early game does a crap ton of damage, and this is really, again, the kind of major value with Jace. It's just like that early game advantage that you can get on most champions, where I have a 200 gold lead. Honestly, didn't even play the lane that well. Getting a bit more used to Jace again, because, as you guys know, been rank 1 Jace many times. I have like 1,500 games played of this champion, but I haven't played him in nearly 2 seasons, apart from maybe like 5 games. So I'm getting a bit back into the groove of playing him since it's been quite a while. And so, I'm like missing some last hits, messing up my combos a little bit, that type of thing, but overall, we crashed the wave again because we know we're getting our boots, so now we get boots. It's another good power spike. Overall, very strong at this point in the game. This is usually one of the best points in the game for Jace, is when you're hitting Boots of Dynamism, or when you have Boots plus Dirk, that type of thing. You can see the Warwick really destroying our team, and that's kind of something throughout the game. We get stuck on a wall because I suck. But Warwick kind of throughout the game was really hard to play into. And this is kind of like the main thing I want to talk about throughout the game. It was really hard for me to deal with Warwick kind of being able to jump on me and the enemy being so aggressive and that type of thing. So that's kind of what I'm going to be looking for throughout the game. But you see here, we ended up getting a lot of poke onto the Jace. Warwick ends up chasing us, but we're overall fine here. So we just try to poke out the Warwick, get the Q flash on him, kill him. Unfortunately, I do take a turret shot as I was trying to avoid the Echo, and so I died. I shouldn't have died there. Obviously, ran into the turret when I didn't need to. But the trade overall is still not bad. You see the early game strength. We can even fight the Warwick Echo there, win the 2v2 with the Ornn. Ornn this game played really well. Shout out to Ornn overall. He had some good engages, some good plays. Ornn support, definitely a really strong champ that not a lot of people play. But yeah, so this, again, just kind of initially wanted to talk a little bit about the champion pool. We're adding Jace. We're playing a lot more Syndra as well, or at least I've started to play some Syndra. And I'll be making some videos on those champions as well, that type of thing. If you guys want to know Jace build or anything, go to wildriftguides.com. I've written a full rank 1 Jace guide, or go to my YouTube channel, go look at my rank 1 Jace guide. So you guys will have full information there to like really learn the champion. But in this game, again, we're kind of going to be focusing a lot on positioning and on kind of team fights. So we're not actually going to watch like every single small detail of the whole game. We're kind of going to skip through a little bit. So here, again, you see I'm pushing the mid wave, trying to see if I can get control over the mid wave, fight with Echo. And then because of the fact that my team all goes for some reason Herald, like I don't know why my teamo decided to go Herald. My teamo is the ADC in this game, by the way. We go top side, and I just cover the lane to make sure that we're able to at least have a lane covered. So my team gets mid with the Herald. I'm just, you know, getting my my Dustblade, and then we're just trying to cover a lane. So yeah, in this game, I mean, we definitely had like some trolls with the teamo here, and so he's kind of like walking around the map, and so I'm stuck now covering top side. But you see, you know, that's not the end of the world. I mean, my main goal is just make sure the wave gets cleared, make sure we're kind of fine, and then look for a possible all-in angle on Jhin if I can find it. In this case, we can't really find anything, so we can just pressure the turret instead. So we saw a lot of the enemy bot. We know it's just a Jhin who's pretty easy to kill, and so I know I can pressure the turret here. You can see how fast Jace pushes turrets in melee form after you click the range W, because it does give the attack speed bonus. And then, again, my Ornn does a good job of tanking that so that we can easily get the turret. So we still get the turret, and that's another thing. That's kind of what you want to do with Jace a lot, is move around and find angles to take turrets. Like, that's one of the main ways you can push your lead in the early game. Either if you're dominating lane really hard, you play to kill your turret in mid lane, or if you know, again, create those roam opportunities through, like I said, the recall timers where the enemy are stuck clearing a mid wave while you can rotate to a side. You push the turret after you rotate very quick, and you can literally one-shot turrets, like not literally, but you know, you can kill them very, very quickly. And so in this case, we end up doing that. We get the top turret. Again, our teamo ADC, he's being a bit weird, but we're just focusing on getting the waves, getting gold for ourselves, and then looking for a rotation angle after. In this case, the Jhin ends up putting himself in an angle to be killed, so we end up grabbing the kill on him, and then we get the Lux as well. So here again, making nice plays with the Ornn, where we saw kind of the overextension from the enemy, leading to us getting a pretty good early game. And so here you can see, like, this is the strength of Jace, is you get to move around the map, you get to take a lot of turrets, you get to snowball really quickly, and so I get a very big lead in the early game. However, like I said, you know, team obviously not doing well. Map is still kind of really hard, and this is definitely a hard game to carry, and that's kind of why, that's why we're going to talk a lot about kind of what happens in the mid game. So in the mid game, they have a very strong Warwick. They have a really aggressive comp with Renekton and Echo as well, who can dive onto us, and we end up kind of being you know, pretty useless in a lot of the fights later on, just getting blown up really early. So we're kind of going to look through that especially and see sort of what could have gone differently. So again, early on, we see them going here. We just can easily take this turret right after the enemy die. So it's like pretty straightforward. Again, looking for as many turrets as I can take with my team. Use the fact that my champ pushes really fast to then go mid. I get a mid turret as well. And here Warwick goes on me. Now realistically in this situation, because again, this is kind of the stuff we're really looking to improve on right now, is like a champion like Warwick jumping on us a lot. Are there ways we can avoid that? In this case, there's no objective up. The only thing to really do is get this mid turret, and we see a wave. Pretty straightforward to go and take this mid turret. We saw Warwick on our map, so maybe I could have run slightly farther back initially. But in this situation, I'm not really overly concerned with this death. This death gets us good gold. I'm still 1,000 gold ahead of the next strongest member in the game. And then I try to build Maw here because they have a lot of AP. They have Lux, they have Echo, and Warwick does a lot of AP. Even if Warwick builds AD, he still does mostly AP. Because that's just where, like, his auto attacks do a lot of AP. His first ability does. I'm pretty sure the alt damage is also a lot of AP. And so we know, like, that's going to get us a lot of value. He also builds Wit's End a lot. Also gives some magic damage, so stuff like that is why we're going to build that. So we're trying to make sure, like, itemization-wise, that we can survive. Now, if I'm thinking kind of in hindsight, I think that Edge of Night would have been really, really nice to have into Warwick. Because Warwick's main thing is he ults onto you, and obviously he one-shots you. But if I have the Edge of Night, someone has to at least hit me first before Warwick can jump on me. So he can't just jump on me out of the blue before anything happens. So I can sit and poke and be perfectly fine as long as I don't get hit by anything. And Edge of Night would also help into Lux, for example, if Lux has a first ability on me. With the Edge of Night, obviously I'm going to block that. So I think Spell Shield would have been an initial thing that I'm looking at that would have been very beneficial. Here we see Warwick kind of ult back, so I'm trying to stay in the fight, see if I can find like an angle to go in or anything like that. And then here I tried to see if I could sneak some autos onto the Jhin. We end up killing him, but I die right after. Not really needed. I should have just ran back. Main reason I was trying to get the Jhin is because if he walked slightly further forward, I could have auto W, auto Q, ignite, and I would have killed him, and then I could have ran away. But because he didn't do that, I had to go into melee for him, which led to me trading 1-for-1, which was a little over aggressive of me. Again, if I'm looking at it, not the end of the world to trade 1-for-1 there, but not really necessary either. when I could have just played it a bit safer. But that was kind of what we were looking for. In that case, didn't really work out too well. But overall, we're going for the Maw here. Like I said, I think Edge of Night could have been a bit better, but it's not the end of the world. And then in this case, again, kind of a similar thing. We see the Warwick jumps on us right away, but I think we end up trading 1-for-1. Again, if I look at this situation, and this is, again, when you go through kind of trying to improve or learn from your games, sometimes you'll realize maybe there wasn't that much I could have done in certain situations. And in that situation, I'm looking at it, I'm not that sure I can do that much different even here. I'm in, a pretty safe spot in my own jungle. Enemy goes on us, we even are still able to trade 1-for-1. It ends up not being a bad situation. So in that case, I'm not like too concerned with it either. Then here again, we see our team kind of going forward. I think we kind of, notice that Warwick is used. I think this probably is a big mistake in terms of where I walk here. So like, if I look at this situation, the enemy, again, like I said, they're champions that I need to poke them out before I really go in. They have Renekton, they have Echo, they have even Lux, burst damage, pretty scary. Obviously Warwick as well. I walk through this angle here. We'll go a little closer. I walk through this bush when I don't have vision and the enemy are likely going to walk. If I go around this safer way, I can get some poke off initially and then go in later. Warwick's already used his ultimate, so there's a chance I can kind of win the fight. So I think I'm just a bit too aggressive here in terms of where I walk, and then this leads to me being in kind of a scary spot where I get hit by the Lux root, and then we end up, I think, trading 1-for-1, but it's not as good. I think Warwick is then able to kill us here. And so you can see that's kind of like the issue here. I would say is just not really being aware of all the enemy location, which leads to me dying in this situation when I definitely didn't need to. Not the end of the world either, result-wise. I don't think they get Baron or anything off this, but definitely should have been a bit more aware. So that's like the first major mistake we see, and then you're probably going to see a couple more times similar things happening, leading to the game kind of being rough here. Again, the game's already kind of hard because of numerous factors, but at this point, really just worried about our positioning. I probably could have bought an earlier QSS as well. Was being kind of greedy. Typically with my itemization, I'm going to be a bit greedy when I think my team's not very good, because if I think my team's not very good, I want enough damage to carry. But I think in this case, QSS was too valuable to skip out on. I definitely should have just bought a QSS here. I have the Ornn thing. I think right now I could just buy a QSS. I don't know if I do that, but that's definitely what I would be looking to do at this point now that I have 3 items. I'm going to have enough damage anyways to one-shot the squishies. And Warwick is pretty squishy as soon as his E is gone, so that's definitely what I should be doing in this case, but I don't think that's what I do. So that's one thing as well. Itemization, QSS, Edge of Night definitely could have helped a lot. And then just a bit better awareness of the enemy locations, again, pretty straightforward, but obviously just getting a bit over aggressive. And then in this case, this is kind of another issue here, was side lane ends up getting pushed really, really far. So typically the job of a mid laner in the mid game going to be control mid or control the same side of the objective in order to make sure the enemy can't go on the Baron and that you have control over that. So if the enemy walk in, maybe you get a kill, you can go for Baron right after. In this case, none of my team is really covering top side, and you kind of see the Renekton ends up going. I saw him, I thought he was recalling here. I think he doesn't end up fully recalling, and he just goes here top side, and so he ends up like pressuring our turret, as you can see here. And so by the time we notice Renekton, he's pretty much on our turret, and we kind of get screwed over. So I would say, like in this case as well, in this game, I probably should have been a bit more aware of the side lane, getting that pushed out first, because our team wasn't really covering the side lane. And then this is where the big mistake comes here, where my teammates, I'm getting over aggressive on the poke. I know they can see me here at this point. Again, they have Warwick, who I should be aware, like I should be thinking to myself, who can come out of, vision, where are they going to be, and what do I need to kind of wait for? So we saw again the first situation where I died that we were talking about, where the enemy were obviously going to follow up on that Warwick's engage, and I still walked into the bush where Lux was able to Q me. In this case, my team's not really in a position grouped next to me where then Warwick can't just jump onto me, and I'm getting greedy to try to poke the enemy because they're low without really thinking about Warwick. And then we see here, obviously it leads to me dying in a second. And like I said, that side lane awareness again as well. So I would say these are definitely some of the main issues of my gameplay so far. As we can see, and then that leads, I believe, the enemy get Baron off this because Graves, I think, ends up dying. And so we get put in kind of a bad position overall. So, I mean, you kind of see, these sort of, the sort of negatives that come just from that lack of awareness. And I think, like, these are the types of things you kind of need to pay attention to when you're looking at your own gameplay or like trying to improve. Because again, this is a hard game. I think looking at the games that were hard but felt like kind of winnable, where maybe you got caught a few times when you shouldn't have, are usually the type of games you can actually potentially win. Because like this game, like I said, a lot of kind of rough things go on in this game that made it pretty hard. And we had a decent early game and got ourselves pretty strong, even though early game didn't go well for the rest of the team. But I think if I improved on these things, 100% could win. And those are usually the types of things I see. Because like in this type of game, for example, you play like I did in this game, my reaction at the initial during the game is, God, Warwick is so goddamn annoying, and my teamo is trolling and sucks. I think both of those statements are completely true statements, but I still think I could have won this game. And a lot of times people don't really take that into account. They're just thinking about, again, Warwick being annoying, teammates sucking, which is true. Both of those things are true, and yet we still could have probably done things to win that. And so keeping that in mind is one of the main ways that you can climb in solo queue as well, because to climb in solo queue, frankly, you need really good mental. We're currently 59% win rate Grandmaster, so we're doing pretty good still. But a lot of the reasons that we're doing pretty good is this like mental and trying to improve even in these kind of harder games. At this point, the game is relatively unlikely to be a win. I would say very unlikely to be a win. I mean, they have Baron, they're up like 5k. They have a Fed Warwick, and again, itemization errors into champions like Warwick can be very devastating if you don't have the QSS, you don't have maybe a spell shield if your champ can build it, that type of thing, and then you're also not aware of it, because again, he's a champion who's basically completely reliant on his ult. Like, Warwick needs to ult you in order to kill you most of the time. After he's done with ult, he's kind of useless. And so even here, I mean, at this point, this game was relatively over. I don't know why I keep saying relatively, but this game was basically over, and I still walk up way too far where Warwick could obviously jump out of the bush. He's obviously going to look for me. I'm not with my team, not grouped at all, and the enemy end up ending off that. So again, I think it's important to every once in a while look at some of your losses, some of your harder games, and try to figure out the main things that you could kind of work on. I've struggled a lot against champions like Warwick that are kind of point and click champions who can close gaps on you very quickly. So playing into a champion like that, it's definitely important to have a bit more awareness and be maybe a bit more passive, work on better itemization, and then also, again, covering those side lanes. Kind of some of the main mistakes that led to me losing this game. And I also wanted to let you guys know about, again, the Jace kind of adding itself back into my champion pool. So we'll be playing some more Jace. You'll see probably some more Jace gameplay soon. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one.